Hey guys, it's Spiffyguy and I'm out here for another adventure. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're out here at Cuivre River State Park. We're going to hike along the lakeside trail, and then over in that direction is the old schoolhouse trail. So we're going to check that out. We're going to cook up an interesting little bit for lunch, and we're going to try out the new cardboard pack frame and a new microphone. It's going to be a beautiful day. Let's get to it. So if you park at the boat ramp, you have to cross over this bridge down here. It's a bit overgrown, but I'll be honest, it's a state park. They don't maintain their trails the same that the OT and other places do. But there's, out here in the distance, in that tree, a couple turkey vultures. I believe they're already waiting for me to die. And if you look at my my legs here, you can see it's pretty dewy out this morning. But it's going to be beautiful. Lots of trees jumping. So one of the things that I'm hoping to accomplish on this particular hike is I brought my large DSLR camera. It's a Nikon D90, and the idea is to take some pictures. I don't get out here and do a whole lot of crazy wildlife photography, and I wanted to take that camera out and try it out, and this would be a good awesome experience. Milkweed right in there. You can see the ovums. Those are edible at some point in their life, but in particular for me, I will use them as a flash tinder source. That's another thing that I wanted to do on this hike, is do some tree identification. I did bring my my Peterson's guide. One of the trees that I want to try to identify at some point is ash. I know that we have ash in this particular area, and I've been seeing a lot of videos from guys in England that talk about cramp balls, or I believe it's called King Alfred's beard, something like that. But they're small fungus that are used for tinder when they're dry. And I was curious to know if we have that in the States, and we do. I'll put the scientific name down below. I believe it's like Dendria concentrica or something like that. But that's something that I wanted to kind of check out. So here we got mullein. This is kind of part of the bushcrafty little adventure that we're having. We're going to identify as much stuff as we can. It's a second year mullein. Flowers, you know, you can use those for earache. The leaves themselves can be used as an asthma treatment or as a tea for coughs, things like that. So, I'm losing my footing already. So, I'm sure a question that has popped up is, why don't I shoot the video with the Nikon D90 as opposed to using my Olympus SH2? And part of the reason is the Olympus is very compact, and the other thing is the video doesn't autofocus with the D90. I'm not sure how it works with other digital SLRs. I know a lot of folks use those, and it just seems a bit big and bulky for what I'm trying to do. The microphone that I'm trying out, because I'm sure there'll be questions on that, is a Zoom H1. I have it clipped to my little lapel here, and the idea was to try to get a little bit better solid audio, consistent, and also help with the wind noise. So I have a little dead cat foam fuzzy thing on there, and we'll see how it goes. But we're just going to follow this around the lake, and it's going to go all the way around. And like I said, I think back there is the old schoolhouse thing. It's going to be a beautiful day. I believe this is sumac in here. There's the berries. You can use those to make a sumac tea. You can look that up, but only the red ones. The white ones are bad. All right, so making our way around, and I believe we've come to the cutoff for the old schoolhouse trail, and I think we're going to run into these. Those are spiders. Being August, it is spider season. But if we take a look at the map here, as I fall, you can see that we're right about there. Old schoolhouse trail actually comes off this little spur road, but I think what I'll do is just hike up around and then continue on the lakeside trail, bringing me back to where I started. Kind of give you a look at the pack. You can see that cardboard frame sheet, if you will, definitely gives it some rigidity. I have about I'd say probably about 30 pounds in here or so, maybe 31 with water. I have 2 liters full of water, a little bit of food. I've got my tarp and stuff like that in there, and I can pull all that out and take a look at it later. It rides all right, but I definitely think that right now I'm at the maximum. I think you'd really have to strategically plan out your loadout for a weekend and things like that, because you're going to want to have, you know, obviously your insulation and stuff in the winter, and I don't know if you'd be able to get all that in there with jackets, the bulk of jackets and things like that. But anyway, it's riding so far so good. It's supposed to get about 80, 85 today, so I'm gonna get hiking before it gets too hot. All right, guys, so as usual per Cuivre River, I'm kind of at a loss as to where the trail is. So just kind of zoom in here on the map. I came up to this little trailhead, and you can see that the trail is below the road. Well, I couldn't find the trail below the road, so I came walking along and I found this double track, and I figured, oh well, maybe this is the access down to the trail. And so I kind of followed it down, but it doesn't seem to be going quite the right direction. If I can get that to focus back in, because I'm supposed to follow along Camp Cuivre Drive. So I had found a trail that kind of looked like this, and I was like, well, I don't know if that's it or not. So I went back up to the road, and so walking down this, now you can see we kind of have a trail. Is that a game trail? So here lies the problem. What don't you see? And what you don't see at a crossing like this, if this is indeed the trail, what you don't see is a reassurance marker. It tells you that that's the trail. So I don't know. I think I'm going to brave it out and head out in that direction. And that kind of seems the sort of direction that I want to go. And we'll go from there. But pay attention when you're out here in Cuivre, because they don't really have a whole lot of good trailblazes. Okay, so there is no trail. I came down because I was seeing the water and the lakeside trail. So I kind of know where I'm at as far as that, and I just happened to see these blazes as I was turning the camera on. So I'm not sure if this particular trail is supposed to continue on up that direction at some point. I will have to look for blazes, or if that's just old stuff. But here's a good example of some dead standing, no leaves, got a good hollow sound to it. And then here is spotted touch-me-not, also known as jewelweed. That's pretty shaky, and that's useful for poison ivy. Typically it grows where poison ivy is, so you should pay attention to that. And there's mushrooms. So there's just a ton of stuff out here in nature that you should go and look for at Cuivre River State Park. Well, I decided to stick to the lake, and I think they're coming to get me. They're definitely circling. It's interesting to see all the things out in the morning. You know, all the bees and the insects starting to get going. There's still a lot of dew, and they're moving a little bit slower. Part of the reason I wanted to stick to the lake is it does actually have a path, so a little bit less chance of bushwhacking it and getting full of ticks and things like that, even though I'm wearing long pants. So I'm hoping that the microphone works out a little bit. This is the little handheld unit right there, and have a little lavalier microphone that just kind of clips on. And it's a bit windy here, so I'm hoping that the wind noise is cut a little bit. I'm not trying to block it or anything like that, but I know that in this type of wind, the camera would definitely pick it up. So we're just kind of cruising along. I'm taking a ton of pictures. I've identified a couple trees that I know, easy ones. Sycamore obviously is super easy, but shagbark hickory and that sort of thing, those are really easy to identify. And we'll just have to see what else we can find and not get stung by bees. All right, guys, taking a little break here, drinking some water. And I was taking a look at these trees here. You got this one, and you've got this tree right here. And if you take a look at the bark, you can see that this bark is very checked. It kind of has that alligator skin. Here's another one right here. Good example. Now, there is a couple trees in Missouri that are going to have that type of bark. And one of them is the flowering dogwood, and the other one is the common persimmons. And I kind of at first glance looked at this and I was like, oh, that's a flowering dogwood. I was wrong, and I will fully admit that. I pulled out the book, the Peterson Guide, and I'll put the page number down below for the common persimmons. And the reason I know that this is a common persimmons is because, here, let me zoom in. If you take a look at the leaves, you can see that they're alternating. So you have one here, one on the other side, and I'll put some arrows in. How about that? So one on each side, they're not opposite each other. And according to the Peterson Guide, the only trees that have this type of bark and alternating leaves are the common persimmons. So why is that important for us to know? Because the common persimmons obviously has persimmons. So if you found this tree on your property or in an area that you were able to go to quite a bit, you could come in the fall and harvest persimmons. Also, I believe you can use persimmon wood to carve. You can also use flowering dogwood, although that is a lot harder of a wood than persimmons, I believe. I'm not a carving expert. If you know, post it down below. But so this is a good example of how some trees have similar bark, but you have to look at the leaves. Now in the winter, it would be difficult for us to know the difference between the two, but persimmons will hang on to the fruit in the winter a lot of times, and so you'll be able to look up and see the remnants of the old fruit rotting up on top of the tree. You may also be able to see the little leaflet sticking out there, and you'd be able to tell whether it was alternating or not. And another thing is, and I don't know if you're going to be able to focus in here or not, but the bud scars, the buds are dark. That's another indicator of persimmons as well. Obviously, do your own research here. I'll put the page down. I'm using the Peterson's Guide to Eastern Trees. But important. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a compound leaf tree. So a compound leaf tree is going to have essentially one leaf coming out with multiple leaflets on it. And I haven't seen any around here. That's an indication of a species of ash. And so that was kind of my little goal to find, as well as a bunch of other stuff. The maples are pretty easy to find. You can tell the maple leaves, Canada, that sort of thing. And lots of oaks around in this area. And so some shagbark hickories, that sort of thing. But it's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to shut up. Get out on the trail. All right, so I finally hit the turnoff to the second connection to Old Schoolhouse Trail, and it's closed. So perhaps that's why I didn't see any markers on the other side. I got some kayakers coming in over here, and I saw a killer snake eating a frog. I got some pictures, and I'll insert a picture right here if I can find it. It was super cool, and we found some, I believe this is milkweed too, a different type, I'm not sure. And got some more hikers coming in over there, so it's pretty popular today. It's going to be super hot, but we have the eclipse coming up on the 21st, and so I will probably put some pictures up on my Instagram of that. If you're not familiar, I have an Instagram. If you're so inclined to see pictures like that, go ahead and check that out. I'll post a lot of the pictures that I'm taking from this trip up there, slowly but surely, and and those will be linked on my Facebook page as well. But it's pretty cool. It's a gorgeous day. It really is. This is exactly what I've been needing. I've been working 60 to 70 hour weeks, and it's nice to get back out on the trail again. So I'm on the other side of the lake here, and there's this rock shelf, and I've scared up 2 water snakes, and there's one. I'm going to zoom in here, see if I can get him. Where'd he go? Zoom. Oh, there he is. Kind of give you an idea of what he looks like. I don't know if that's a moccasin or a water snake. So if you know, stick down in the comments there. I believe the two are similar looking. Moccasins, I believe, are aggressive. So I'm assuming that this is just a water snake. I've seen 2 of these so far, but super cool to see. And I've been keeping an eye out on the trail for snakes and things like that. I figured with these rocks, they'd want to warm up. So far, all I've seen is the ones in the water. I saw the one eating a frog, and then I saw another one that was swimming across the water, and then 2 here. So 4 snakes so far. That's a pretty decent number for me. All right, so we're coming to the end here. You can see the dock over there, and I just wanted to stop and thank you guys for watching and encourage you guys to get out. It's quite hot today, but we're heading into fall, and we have quite a few things going on. I'm hoping to get down onto the southern part of the Ozark Trail in October, and there is two megas coming up in October 7th and the 28th. So if you're in the Missouri area and you're interested in coming down and doing a little building on the Ozark Trail, be sure to check out the website ozarktrail.com. It's been a lot of fun building that trail down there, and I've met a lot of great people. So it's a good excuse to kind of get out and see that portion of the state. It is pretty cool down there. So there's the shameless plug for that. I didn't make my surprise lunch, which was not really surprising at all. A bit of an experiment with dehydrated cauliflower rice. Using cauliflower rice is something I like to do to limit the calories and the grain intake on things like fried rice and that sort of thing. And I was curious to know how well it would dehydrate and then rehydrate. So be looking forward to an episode of Food where we'll talk about that and see how that rehydrates up. But that's really about it. Cuivre River is real nice. This is the Lakeside Trail. I didn't go up the steps. There is steps that go all the way up to the top of that hill and then come down the other. I don't like steps, and so I didn't do it. But it's very cool. I haven't done the whole thing before, so I'm definitely glad that I didn't head up onto the Schoolhouse Trail, because it's about noon. I've been kind of meandering. So anyway, I appreciate you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, stick them down below. And make sure to check out my Instagram or Facebook page. I'll be putting up all the pictures I took with the D90. And until the next time, just remember that life is an adventure. So go out and have one.